They say what you do on New Year's Eve sets the tone for your year. My wife proved that right when she poured champagne on my face at midnight, laughing with her lover while 50 guests watched. She thought I wasn't there. She had no idea I'd planned this humiliation down to the last devastating second. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, hit that like button. This story gets wild. My name is Royce Blackwell, and I used to think I had it all figured out. At 34, I was living what everyone called the dream. Tech security consultant with my own firm, penthouse overlooking the city, and a wife who turned heads everywhere we went. Sienna wasn't just beautiful. She was brilliant. A corporate lawyer who could dismantle arguments in boardrooms and charm investors at dinner parties. We were the couple people envied at every event. 6 years of marriage, and I genuinely believed we were building something real, something lasting. But looking back now, I realized I was living in a carefully constructed lie. The signs were all there, I just didn't want to see them. It started about 8 months ago. Sienna began working later and later, her phone face down on every surface, her laughter a little too forced when I asked about her day. She'd come home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine, explaining it away as a new male colleague who stood too close in meetings. I believed her because I wanted to, because questioning her meant questioning everything we'd built together. Then came December. Sienna got obsessed with planning this massive New Year's Eve party at our place. 50 guests, catered food, premium champagne, the works. She was electric with excitement, more animated than I'd seen her in months. I thought maybe this was us getting back on track, reconnecting through celebration. She kept saying it would be the perfect way to start the new year, a night no one would ever forget. God, she got that part right. 3 weeks before the party, everything changed. I was doing a routine security update on Sienna's laptop, something I'd done 100 times before as part of keeping our home network protected. That's when I found it. A hidden folder buried in her files, password protected, but I knew her passwords. We'd always shared everything, or so I thought. Inside that folder was a year of lies compressed into digital evidence. Hotel receipts from places we'd never been together. Photos of her wrapped around another man, intimate and undeniable. Text messages that made my stomach turn, hundreds of them, chronicling an affair that had been happening right under my nose. The worst part? I recognized him immediately. Vaughn Sterling. We went to college together, competed for the same internships, the same recognition. He'd always resented that I graduated top of our class while he struggled. Now he was a successful architect, and apparently he'd found the perfect way to win our lifelong rivalry by taking my wife. Their messages were brutal. She called me boring, predictable, to trusting. He called me a fool who deserved what he got. They laughed about how easy I was to deceive, how I'd never suspect a thing. One message from Sienna burned into my brain. He'll be out of town New Year's Eve for that Boston conference. We'll have the party and the whole penthouse to ourselves. It'll be absolutely perfect. That's when something inside me shifted. The hurt crystallized into something colder, sharper. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just started planning. The old me would have confronted her immediately, demanded answers, probably begged her to explain why I wasn't enough. But that version of Royce died the moment I read those messages. What replaced him was someone methodical, patient, and absolutely done playing the fool. If Sienna wanted to humiliate me, I'd let her try. But she'd do it on my terms, with an audience watching her true colors in real time. First thing I did was act completely normal. I kissed her goodbye every morning, asked about her day every evening, and showed genuine enthusiasm about the New Year's party she was planning. I even suggested she invite more people, make it bigger, more memorable. Her eyes lit up when I said that, and I had to swallow the bitterness rising in my throat. She had no idea I was building her stage for the performance of a lifetime. The Boston conference was realized, been invited months ago, but had declined. Now I told Sienna I'd changed my mind, that it was too important for my career to miss. She tried to hide her excitement, but failed miserably. She actually hugged me and said how proud she was that I was prioritizing my business. The irony would have been funny if it didn't hurt so damn much. I booked a flight, packed my bags, made a big show of being disappointed about missing the party. She practically pushed me out the door. Except I never got on that plane. I checked into a hotel 20 minutes away under a fake name, paid cash, and set up my command center. But I wasn't working alone. I'd hired Claudette Pierce, a private investigator and former FBI agent who specialized in infidelity cases. She was expensive, thorough, and completely discreet. When I showed her the evidence I'd already found, she didn't even blink. She just nodded and said we'd need everything documented properly for court. Here's where my career in security consulting became beautifully ironic. I spent years teaching people how to protect their homes from digital intrusions. I knew every camera system, every smart home vulnerability, every way to monitor a space without anyone knowing. Our penthouse had basic security, but over the next 2 weeks, I upgraded everything. Hidden cameras in the living room, kitchen, hallways, every public space. All completely legal since it was my property and my name on the deed. I set up live feeds that streamed directly to my laptop and Claudette's monitoring equipment. But cameras weren't enough. I needed consequences, real ones, that would shatter the perfect little fantasy Sienna and Vaughn had built. I made 3 phone calls that would change everything. First, to Sienna's senior law partner, a woman who valued the firm's reputation above everything else. Second, to Vaughn's biggest client, a conservative family man who'd just funded Vaughn's latest $1 million project. Third, to my divorce attorney, who prepared papers with an infidelity clause that would cost Sienna everything. I prepared USB drives loaded with evidence, timed for strategic distribution. I even rented a luxury suite with a massive screen for what Claudette started calling our viewing party. The trap was set. All that was left was watching them walk straight into it. New Year's Eve arrived with crystal clear skies and temperatures cold enough to see your breath. I sat in my hotel suite, laptop open, watching the live feeds as catering staff transformed our penthouse into something elegant and expensive. Sienna moved through the rooms like a director preparing her masterpiece, adjusting flowers, testing the sound system, making sure every detail was perfect. She wore this black dress that I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. That stung more than I expected. She was using our life, our memories, to celebrate her betrayal. Guests started arriving around 7. I recognized every face, our closest friends, colleagues, people we'd spent holidays with. They came with champagne and well wishes, asking immediately where I was. Sienna's performance was flawless. She sighed with practiced disappointment, touching her heart like she genuinely missed me. Poor Royce is stuck in Boston for some emergency work conference. He's absolutely devastated to miss this. People nodded sympathetically, patting her shoulder, telling her how hard it must be. I watched her accept their comfort while planning to betray me in my own home. The audacity was almost impressive. Vaughn arrived at 9, fashionably late, playing it smart initially. He kept his distance, mingled with other guests, acted like just another friend in the crowd. But I saw the glances they exchanged across the room, loaded, hungry, conspiratorial. Every look was a promise of what they'd do once everyone left. Claudette sat beside me in the hotel, taking notes, recording timestamps. My attorney reviewed documents on his tablet. We were all business, but inside, my heart was hammering against my ribs. By 10 o'clock, the champagne had been flowing for hours, and inhibitions started crumbling. I watched Sienna's cheeks flush, her laughter get louder, her touches on Vaughn's arm linger longer. They disappeared into the kitchen together, thinking they were alone. My camera caught everything. The way he pressed her against the counter, his hands in her hair, her legs wrapping around him. They kissed like they were starving, and when they finally broke apart, breathless, I heard every word through the audio feed. Sienna whispered, "Just a few more hours until midnight. Then we toast to freedom from that boring bastard." Vaughn laughed, running his thumb across her lips. "To freedom from Royce." God, I've waited so long to have you without hiding. My hands clenched into fists so tight my knuckles went white. Claudette put a hand on my shoulder, steadying me. "Stay focused," she said quietly. "This is almost over." I forced myself to breathe, to watch, to wait. At 11:30, Sienna gathered everyone in the main living room for the countdown. She brought out the special champagne, a $3,000 bottle. I'd purchased months ago for our anniversary dinner that never happened. She held it up, smiling at the crowd. This was supposed to be for Royce and me, but honestly, why waste perfection on someone who isn't here? The room laughed uncomfortably. Some people sensed something was off, shifting on their feet, exchanging uncertain glances. The countdown began on television. Times Square glittered with 1 million people celebrating. 10 minutes to midnight. 10 minutes until everything exploded. The countdown echoed through the penthouse speakers. 10:98. I watched Sienna grab the microphone we'd set up for toasts, her eyes glittering with champagne and something darker. Vaughn stood beside her, hand possessively on her lower back, no longer pretending. 7:65. The room pulsed with anticipation, everyone ready to welcome the new year. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year erupted from 50 throats, and that's when Sienna made her move. Instead of kissing Vaughn, she held up something that made my stomach drop, even though I'd been expecting chaos. It was a large framed photo of my face, one from our wedding day where I was smiling like the happiest man alive. The room went silent, confusion rippling through the crowd. People stopped mid-celebration, champagne glasses frozen halfway to their lips. What the hell was happening? Sienna addressed the photo like I was actually there, her voice dripping with mockery. Happy New Year, darling husband. Stuck in boring Boston while I celebrate freedom here? A few people laughed nervously, unsure if this was some kind of joke. But Sienna wasn't done. She raised her voice, emboldened by alcohol and audience. You know what? I am so done pretending. Then she lifted her glass of that expensive champagne and poured the entire thing over my photo. The golden liquid streamed down the frame, dripping onto our white carpet, ruining everything it touched. The room gasped. This wasn't funny anymore. This was cruel. But Sienna was just getting started. She screamed at my photo, her face contorted with genuine rage. 6 years of boring. 6 years of mediocrity. 6 years of pretending you were enough when you never were. She was spiraling now, unleashing everything she'd held back. I deserve better. I deserve someone who actually excites me, who makes me feel alive. That's when Vaughn stepped forward, pulling her against him in front of everyone. The mask was completely off now. He announced to the shocked crowd, "Since we're being honest tonight, Sienna and I have been together for a year. And honestly, Royce never deserved her anyway." Phones came out. People started recording. Some guests moved toward the door, desperate to escape the train wreck unfolding. Others stood frozen, unable to look away. Sienna threw the frame down and it shattered across the floor, glass exploding, champagne and shards mixing together. She stomped on it with her heel, grinding my face into the mess. He's a fool. Too stupid to see what was right in front of him. Too trusting, too boring, too nothing. A few friends tried to intervene, reaching for her arms, telling her to calm down. She shoved them away violently. "Don't touch me. This is my night. My freedom." She was screaming now, makeup running, hair wild, completely unhinged. Vaughn tried to pull her back, but she was too far gone, riding the high of her own cruelty. She grabbed another bottle of champagne and raised it high. To the new year. To finally being free of dead weight, that's when I made my move. Time to show her what real humiliation looked like. At exactly 7 minutes past midnight, the massive television screen in our living room suddenly went black. The Times Square celebration vanished, replaced by silence that cut through Sienna's drunken laughter. People looked around confused, some tapping their phones thinking the stream had died. Then the screen flared back to life, but it wasn't showing the ball drop anymore. It was showing security camera footage from inside our penthouse. My voice filled the room through every smart speaker, calm and cold as ice. "Happy New Year, Sienna." I watched her face drain of color through my laptop feed. She recognized my voice instantly, spinning toward the TV like she'd been slapped. The footage began playing, a carefully edited compilation of her affair. There was Sienna and Vaughn in hotel lobbies, kissing in parking garages, their hands all over each other in restaurants I'd never been to. The intimate moments I'd pulled from her hidden files, undeniable and devastating. Audio played over the images, their text messages read aloud in computerized voices. Every cruel word about me magnified for 50 witnesses. The room erupted into chaos. Guests stood paralyzed, some covering their mouths in shock, others already backing toward the exit. Phones were everywhere now, recording everything. This scandal, too juicy not to capture. Sienna screamed and lunged for the TV, trying to shut it off, but I'd locked every control remotely. She grabbed the remote and smashed buttons uselessly. Vaughn ran for the front door, but it wouldn't open. Smart lock engaged from my hotel room. He yanked the handle desperately while people shouted questions, demanding to know what was happening. Then my face appeared on that massive screen, live from my hotel suite. I was sitting in a leather chair, perfectly composed in a crisp suit, champagne glass in hand. Behind me stood Claudette and my attorney, both stone-faced and professional. I let the silence hang for a moment, watching Sienna's world crumble in real time. You wanted to celebrate my absence, darling? Let me give you a proper toast. My voice was steady, controlled. Everything hers wasn't. Every moment of your affair was recorded. Every text message saved. Every lie documented in legal files that are already submitted to the court. I turned slightly, gesturing to the people behind me. Sienna, check your phone. Divorce papers were just emailed. You're officially served. The infidelity clause in our prenup means you get nothing. Her hand shook as she grabbed her phone, swiping frantically. I watched her read the email, watched her legs nearly give out. But I wasn't finished. Vaughn, I'd like you to meet someone. The camera panned to show an older gentleman in an expensive suit standing next to my attorney. This is Mr. Pemberton, your largest client. The one funding your $2 million Riverside project. He's been watching everything tonight with us. Pemberton's voice was disgusted and final. Contract terminated immediately. I don't do business with men who lack integrity. Vaughn's face went gray. That project was his entire year, his reputation, everything. I continued, turning to another figure on screen. Sienna, say hello to Ms. Hartwig, your senior law partner. The older woman stepped forward, her expression carved from granite. Emergency disciplinary meeting Monday morning. The firm cannot be associated with this scandal. 1 week later, I stood in our penthouse, now watching movers carry out the last of Sienna's belongings. The divorce was finalized with shocking speed. When you have ironclad evidence and a prenup that anticipated infidelity, her attorney tried to fight it, tried to claim emotional distress. But the law doesn't care about your feelings when you've been caught in high definition breaking a legal contract. She lost the penthouse, half her assets, and the carefully constructed life she'd taken for granted. The woman who'd poured champagne on my face now couldn't afford champagne at all. Sienna's law firm didn't just reprimand her, they forced her resignation. The scandal went viral in our professional. Circles shared and reshared until everyone knew what she'd. Doms Hartwig told my attorney that the firm couldn't risk their reputation on someone who showed such catastrophic judgment. Corporate law is built on trust, and Sienna had proven herself untrustworthy in the most public way possible. Last I heard, she was living in a studio apartment across town, sending out resumes that went unanswered because her name now came with baggage no firm wanted to carry. Vaughn's destruction was even more complete. Mr. Pemberton. Pulling his project created a domino effect that Vaughn never recovered from. 3 other clients saw the New Year's footage because of course it leaked. Everything leaks now, and they terminated their contracts too. His architecture firm partnership dissolved within days, his business partner wanting nothing to do with the scandal. The industry blacklisted him quietly, but effectively. No one wants to hire the architect who publicly humiliated a colleague and destroyed a marriage. His professional reputation, built over 15 years, evaporated in one night. The irony wasn't lost on anyone that Vaughn's girlfriend, the one he'd been cheating on with Sienna, took him for everything in their breakup. She'd been at the party, witnessed the whole meltdown, and her attorney made sure Vaughn paid dearly for his betrayal. Apparently karma works in layers. As for me, my life took an unexpected turn upward. My security consulting business exploded with new clients after word got out about how I'd handled the situation. Turns out when you publicly demonstrate your expertise in surveillance and strategic planning, people want to hire you. I developed a specialty in what I call personal security consulting, helping people protect themselves from betrayal, both digital and personal. The demand was insane. My social circle, the real friends, rallied around me harder than I expected. The people who'd stood in that living room watching Sienna's meltdown reached out afterward, apologizing for not seeing it sooner, offering support I didn't know I needed. Some of them cut ties with her entirely. Others just distanced themselves from the drama. Either way, I learned who my real people were. I started dating again 6 months later. Met someone through a friend, someone genuine, who valued honesty over image. We took it slow, built something real on a foundation that wasn't rotting from lies underneath. She knew my story of Ryan did by then, and she never made me feel broken because of it. Standing here now, exactly 1 year after that New Year's Eve, I raised a glass of champagne in my empty penthouse.